You know, I'm just gonna be like super upfront here too. Some people call out body positivity because as a way of bringing up that obesity and fatness shouldn't be applauded because it leads to health issues. And I saw a gal who is wonderful today speak about this, and she said, people who are fat, like, know the statistics. Like, they're not dumb, okay? Like, you're not just giving them, like, new information. Like, hey, I didn't know. Like, they know. You don't need to inform these people that there are health issues associated with obesity. Like, they know. Um, you can't assume someone's health based on their size, though. So, like, you don't have the full picture. There is HAES, which is Health at Every Size, which is an awesome organization who supports health at every size. You can be healthy at every size. And I just think that, like, we're just raised on this idea that if somebody is fat or obese, that they've got to be unhealthy. You don't know. I mean, you can be thin and be unhealthy. So don't even talk to me about, it's just, it doesn't work in my brain. Like, I remember growing up, and I'm pretty sure my mom did not take very good care of her. And for that reason, she was thin. And I think that just was ingrained in me. Like, okay, so if I just don't eat very much, I'll be thin too. And I want to be thin because that's what I'm supposed to be, right? That means I'm healthy. No. Mm-mm. And then when I went to school for nutrition, I realized, like, oh my God, I have not been eating enough. And I don't even know what a healthy weight for me is. I don't even know what I look like. What would I look like if I ate what I was supposed to eat or ate what my body told me to eat? And then I got introduced to intuitive eating, and like, this is me now, and this is like the healthiest I've ever felt in my life. And I'm just doing what my body tells me to do. And I'm just like, don't judge people on their size because you have no idea what's going on. You know, maybe they have a chronic illness. Maybe they have some others. Maybe they're depressed. Maybe they're anxious. You have no idea. There's absolutely no reason for you to judge somebody on their size and then try to decide or judge whether they're healthy or not. And the reason I bring this up is because I wanted to talk about how this comes into play in the medical industry, in the medical field. And I remember when I was in school, we took an implicit bias test. And I just want to let you know, everyone is implicitly biased, whether you recognize it or not, hence the word implicit. You don't know. I just feel very strongly about the fact that doctors don't even think about being cautious with people when it comes to their size, with eating disorders or disordered eating, with their mental health. It's all like physical. They're only judging people based on their physical symptoms or the way that they're displaying themselves physically. Or like whatever they're, just other stuff. They don't think about these people as people. That's just my experience. And I feel like this implicit bias, this like lack of awareness about people in general, leads to negative consequences. And I have a plethora of examples of people I know in my personal life that have been affected negatively based on judgment or lack of awareness about this person. And there's something that's going on right now in my life that I'm not going to get into because I think this is more important to talk about, but I have a lot of evidence to support that doctors do not pay attention to who people are. They just judge them based on the way that they look and what they tell them. They're not, I don't know. Anyway, the negative consequences that come from a doctor who does not approach a person from a holistic perspective, from a compassionate and empathetic And non-judgmental, non-biased perspective is going to be lack of trust, shame, guilt. I almost said game. Shame, guilt, eating disorders, disordered eating, depression, anxiety, increased heart rate, stress, self-hatred, misinformation. There's a bunch of others. Health inequality / bias. It doesn't just affect fat and obese people, but also the LGBTQ communities, disabled communities, people of color communities, immigrant communities, so many different communities. These people are not getting access to the care that they need. And then when they do get access to the care that they need, they're not being treated equally. And ironically, this kind of just reinforces these biases too, because the way that they're treating them is leading them to have these health problems. So these communities are unhealthy because you put unnecessary stress on them, or you didn't give them the care that they need, or they distrusted you and they stopped going to the doctor. And stress is the leading cause of death. Research suggests, and we all know this, chronic stress can lead to heart disease, diabetes, depression, autoimmune disorders, all of these things. So it's a little bit ironic to me. I think there should be some kind of training when you go to medical school. I think there should be training every year for anybody who is practicing medicine on how to approach people and give them equal care. Yeah, this should be mandated. Where am I going with this? So anyway, this like body shaming thing based on people's like size or whatever, or their disabilities. Yeah, it's kind of our medical field's fault. I just want to throw that out there because I think there's a lot of variables, and I think that one should be paid attention to. Doctors develop, I found some research and I was just like, I want to share this with you because some of the statistics are super interesting. Doctors develop less rapport with fat patients and spend less time with them, according to research at Rice University. And in 2012, a study was published in Obesity, I guess it's a magazine, by widely respected researchers Rebecca M. Pull and Kelly Brownell, that said 69% of fat women reported experiencing weight stigma from their doctors. Yeah, I've heard so many women who have told me that all their doctor says is that they need to lose weight and all of their other symptoms will go away. Or they've just made them feel bad about their lifestyle choices. And I want you to know that I have worked in as a health coach with weight loss, and I actually don't work there anymore. That's a terrible job to have because I couldn't do it. Like, from a heart-centered place, that's not what I believe in. Like, making people feel bad about their bodies and being body positive, it just wasn't aligning with my my feelings. But like, I've seen so many people who like stopped going to their doctor because their doctor made them feel bad about their size. Isn't that sad? It's terrible. We should not be making people feel that way. Okay, here's some more. According to a 2018 study, there's now data to support that weight stigma may be the largest driver of the so-called obesity epidemic. And that same study found that experiences of weight stigma can lead to weight gain, triggering obesogenic processes. I don't know why I wanted to say it the other way. Obesogenic processes, which is just like increased cortisol levels. It decreases your mental health and it increases your mortality rate overall. So isn't that interesting that the way that doctors are approaching their patients is actually leading to more detriment to their health? Duh. So that is, the more fat people experience weight stigma, the more their health suffers. implicit racial ethnic bias in the medical industry. I just want to mention this. I don't know how y'all are feeling about COVID vaccination or whatever. I'm vaccinated, so I made my choice. Whatever your choice is, that's fine. But I don't know if you know, but there is, like, the percentage of people of color who have gotten the COVID vaccination is much lower than it is Caucasian or white people. And I mean, I think there's a whole history behind this, but I also think it's because people of color generally do not trust the medical industry, and they shouldn't, because they don't get the care that they need, because there is an implicit bias towards them. But the research says that Black people, or people of color in general, were 3.57 times more likely to die from COVID than white people. Similarly, the risk of death within the Latinx population was nearly twice than that of the white population. So it's hitting those communities harder, but I also think it has something to do with the fact that they don't have access to these vaccinations. So, I'm really sorry about the dog. Economic disparities between racial groups makes it more difficult for them to get health insurance? No shit. I mean, people, even white people or Caucasian people with lower incomes have a hard time getting it. But can you imagine? I mean, and this is just, like, I don't have health care. So I can only imagine how much others suffer from not getting the care that they need, but also not trusting the people that they see. Because if you think about it, the doctors that are helping the people of lower incomes or low economic populations are probably having to see a lot more patients. And so they're probably overworked, which probably means they don't get to spend very much time with their patients. And then they also have this implicit bias that comes in, and so these people are just not getting the care that they need in general. But our health is significantly shaped by social determinants of health, like discrimination, access to education, employment, housing, healthcare. So all of these come into play when you think about our bodies and how our bodies are related to our health. Like, I feel like it's super important to think about all these things. It's not just about the way our bodies look. All of these things come into play. And I just think it's really important for us to even, that's why body positivity, I feel like, is kind of insulting sometimes, because it's not necessarily a focus for people, like what their bodies look like, but also there's just a lot of stuff that affects how a person will look and how healthy they are. And I just feel like this stress, this like imposed, I don't know, judgment or ideal body image on what healthy is supposed to look like or what beauty is supposed to look like is just, you're doomed, you know? So you might as well just get out.